Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I just read Godsbane by Dale Lucas and it was pretty cool. The story is pretty complex at times and features multiple side plots, but basically it all revolves around a weapon called the Godsbane. This weapon gives mortals the power to destroy gods, or just in general, big magical beings. Let's call them the Antitheist group of people eventually manages to obtain this artifact and declares a war upon the gods and their followers. Then it is up to our main characters and their allies to stop the Antichrist and to prevent him from destroying the gods. This is not purely for heroic reasons though. One of our heroes is a witch elf and part of the insurrectionists previously hinted at in Coffins of Blood. They want to destroy Morathi and resurrect Cain. Naturally, she is much more interested in getting the item for herself so she can kill Morathi Cain with it, rather than just really saving the mortal realms. There's also a Catteron who is only really there because he needs the money and glory to return to his home. And then finally, the last two heroes are a Luminate Witch and a Stormcast Eternal, who do actually want to stop the Anti-Theists for somewhat honorable reasons. Although you can of course argue that they are basically just defending their own religion here. That being said, the Luminate Witch is generally one of the good guys and she even refuses to use lethal weaponry at times. What's so great about this novel is that it is, or at least starts off as, a proper adventure fantasy novel. It starts off with multiple parallel plots that each follow and introduce one of the main characters. These then slowly flow together in organic fashion as all of the character storylines start to revolve around the God Killer weapon, and we get a classic fantasy scenario of a diverse group of half-allies that have to go and save the world. There's also a reason why this is so often the structure of fantasy stories, and that is because it just works really well, and this book is no exception to that. The big problem with this book, however, is that it does something typical of Age of Sigmar, and that is so frustrating, because I've seen it in so many other Age of Sigmar novels as well. And then there's a desperate, clingy need to force big-named characters into the book. And guess what? These characters have models and tabletop rules and personal lore, so it's completely obvious from the get-go that nothing major will ever happen to them. So that's also what happens in this book. For the first 300 pages of the book has a very exciting and unpredictable plot. But then around the 300 page mark, some event happens to a major character. Yeah, this event in and of itself was actually really cool, and if the book had ended there, I definitely would have given it 5 out of 5 stars. But it doesn't. Instead, the book spends another 150 pages undoing everything that happened in the previous pages via the most predictable and cliché events imaginable, while also tossing in some of the longest section of bullet porn I've ever seen, for some reason. Throughout the first 300 pages of the book, I was truly excited to continue reading it again after work, but for these last 150 pages I basically had to force myself through it. But yeah, with the tree runner out of the room, let's talk about another thing this novel did really well, and that is creating a unique and immersive image of the Luminate College. See, part of the book plays out in the Luminate version of Hogwarts, and this was really cool as we see a lot of creativity going into the design of the place, and the dynamic relationship between the elves and the humans had some nice depth to it as well. See, quite some of the Luminate aren't very happy with teaching these rash, emotional, brain-dead apes magic, and consider all of them a potential time bomb. The humans on the other hand see the Luminate as extremely strict, as every failure is punished with expulsion. Just in general, this novel does a good job at showing you the friction between the different factions of Order, because while they might technically be in the same Grand Allegiance, the alliance is very loose at times. Then finally, I'd like to mention the characterization. Now near the end, all of the characters turn to shit a little bit, but during the first part of the novel the main characters were done very nicely. All characters had their own quirks, beliefs and motivations that you got a good understanding of because of the separate storylines, and their faction identities were integrated competently as well. Also, Teclis is the smuggest, most enigmatic asshole I have ever seen in a novel, which was pretty great. This fits perfectly for Teclis because he has always kind of been, that guy, but it also reflects the distance between the gods and the mortals quite well. Gods really are playing a different game, and their arrogance is one of the reasons why the group of Anti-Theists is so big. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for the non-main characters, however. For some reason, Lucas seems to not have remembered the basic fundamental of writing that people can't remember lists longer than 3 or 4 names. Every time we enter a room, he provides a complete list of everyone's full name, their title, their gender, their skin color, and if he's feeling like it, he also tosses in a detail or two. And he does all of this in bullet point like fashion. The annoying part is here that the novel also expects you to remember all of these things, and if one of the characters shows up again on the other side of the book, it won't give you an explanation again. No, you get the list once and that will have to do for the rest of the book, so good luck remembering 50 characters. Most characters also don't appear again at all, or neither do they play a significant part in the scenes themselves. So I don't know, maybe Lucas wanted to meet a diversity quota or something? I really don't see the point of these lists. They're dumb, distracting, but yeah, not the biggest deal though, because there's only like 5 of them. Anyway, all in all, I'm giving Godsbane 4 to 5 smug bastards. The book starts off like an epic adventure novel, with an interesting cast of characters that have to save the world from a villain with quite an understandable motivation. Sadly, the book really takes a turn for the worse after one of the battles, and everything kind of falls apart after that. But yeah, I'll still go with 4 to 5 stars, because of great world building in the excellent first part of the novel. Also, as a side note, the book is very long for Black Library standards, so if you want to be efficient with your Audible tokens, this can also be a big upside. Anyway, that was all I got for you today.
If you liked this video, please consider subscribing and click ringing the bell to appease the Great Horned Rat. For more lore content, please check my main channel and leave any book recommendations in the comments down below. I gotta get back to reading the next book.